All right, today we are pulling back the curtain on the science of learning. We're going to talk about educational psychology, basically the blueprint for how we can teach better and, more importantly, learn better. So let's get into it. You know that feeling, right? You're banging your head against a wall trying to get a new concept, it just isn't working. And then, suddenly, bam, it just clicks. It feels a little bit like magic, doesn't it? Well, it's not. There's actually a science behind it. And that science is called educational psychology. This is the field that's all about understanding the nitty-gritty of how our brains learn. The cognitive side, the emotional side, all of it. It's what takes that mystery out of the aha moments so we can have more of them on purpose. So, how does this whole learning thing actually work? Well, psychologists have a few big ideas, a few major theories that give us different ways to look at it. We're going to break down 3 of the biggest ones right now. First up, we've got behaviorism. Now, this theory isn't really interested in what's going on inside your mind. That's kind of treated like a mysterious black box. Nope, behaviorism is all about what we can actually see and measure on the outside. The core idea here is pretty straightforward. Learning is all about how we respond to our environment. Thinkers like B.F. Skinner believed that if a behavior is followed by something good, like a reward, you're probably going to do it again. It's all about conditioning. And this sticker chart is the perfect classic example. The sticker is what's called positive reinforcement. The student learns, hey, if I do this, I get that. And that connection makes the good behavior happen more often. It's a super powerful way to build habits. But what about what is happening inside our heads? I mean, a lot goes on in there, right? Well, that brings us to our next theory, constructivism, which is all about prying open that black box and looking inside. So here's the big shift. With constructivism, the learner isn't just some passive sponge soaking up information. Not at all. We are active architects of our own knowledge. We take new stuff we learn and we build it into what we already know from our own experiences. This parachute example is just fantastic. I mean, instead of just listening to a lecture, the students are actually doing it. They're building, they're testing, they're seeing what works. They aren't just told about air resistance, they feel it. They build that knowledge for themselves, and trust me, that makes it stick. Okay, but let's be real. Learning is rarely a solo mission. So much of what we know we pick up from the people all around us, and that's where social learning theory comes in. A psychologist named Albert Bandura really championed this idea. He said we learn vicariously, by watching other people. We observe them, we imitate what they do, and we see what happens to them as a result. Just think, how did you learn to tie your shoes? Chances are you watched someone else do it first. And this classic experiment really drives the point home. Kids who just watched an adult being aggressive with this doll, well, they were much more likely to copy that exact behavior. It's a pretty stark reminder that we're always learning from the people around us, for good and for bad. Okay, so that's some of the heavy theory. But what about the so what? How can we take all these amazing psychological insights and actually use them to become better learners? Let's build our toolkit. First things first, what's your drive? What gets you going? On one hand, you've got intrinsic motivation. That's that fire inside you where you learn something just because you love it, you're curious. On the other hand, you've got extrinsic motivation. That's the external stuff, like chasing a good grade or winning a prize. And look, external rewards can work, but the research is crystal clear. That internal, intrinsic drive is what leads to really deep, lasting learning. But beyond what motivates you, maybe the single most powerful tool you can have is knowing how to learn. Seriously, it's not just about the subject matter. It's about mastering the process of learning itself. The fancy term for this superpower is metacognition. The easiest way to think about it is thinking about your thinking. It's like you become the CEO of your own brain. You're not just doing the work, you're planning the work, checking in on it, and figuring out how to do it better. And it's not as complex as it sounds. You can start with a really simple 3-step routine. First, before you start, plan. Set a goal, pick a strategy. Second, while you're in the middle of it, monitor. Ask yourself, hey, am I actually getting this? And third, after you're done, reflect. What worked? What didn't? What will I do differently next time? That simple cycle is a total game changer. Now, so far we've focused a lot on the individual, what's going on inside your head. But that's only half the picture. Psychology shows us that the environment you learn in is just as critical. You see, a classroom or really any learning space isn't just about facts and figures. It's a whole social and emotional ecosystem. And to make that ecosystem thrive, you need something called social and emotional learning, or SEL for short. And let me be clear, this is not just some fluffy, feel-good idea. The data is incredible. Get this. One huge study looked at over 270,000 students. It found that kids who got SEL instruction saw their academic scores jump by an average of 11 percentile points. The takeaway is simple. When students feel safe, supported, and emotionally competent, they just learn better. Period. So what are these skills we're talking about? Well, it's the fundamental stuff, really. It's knowing yourself, managing your impulses, understanding others' perspectives, building good relationships, and making solid choices. You know, life skills. And that's the key here. These ideas from psychology don't just help one person in one room. When you start applying them across the board, they have the power to change our entire approach to education. Think about the ripple effect. Educational psychology gives teachers a whole toolkit of strategies that are actually proven to work. It gives students skills like metacognition so they can own their learning for their entire lives. And it gives the people in charge the hard data they need to build smarter, better, and more equitable school systems for everybody. We have covered a ton of ground, from big theories to really practical tools. So I want to leave you with one final question to think about. Now that you know a little bit more of the science, what's just one thing you can do differently tomorrow in how you learn or how you teach? Thanks for diving in with me today.